Today is July 14th. The All-Star break is over, and it's time to get back to baseball. Let's talk about what we expect this weekend and for the rest of the season. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I am joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
What's going on, man?
Nice week off.
Yeah,
in a way.
kind of.
It's a break.
Right.
And I think that probably a good break for a lot of the Pirates.
Yeah, well-needed rest. Get back at it.
Not to mention, two of the guys that we just put on the IL just get some extra days off where they're not missing games.
Right.
So hopefully that's good. What do we got going on, man?
Man, it's been interesting down here. It's just rain every day down here. And it's not even just rain, thunderstorms every day. Can't even see when I'm driving on the road at times. Then I get to my destination and it's sunny. It's wild. I don't even understand what's going on down here.
You grew up in our area, and that's wild. I just feel like that's a pretty normal thing. Just to be like, oh, if I just drive a half an hour north, it'll be great.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize it was like that in other places. I thought that was just an Ohio Valley thing. Apparently not.
No. It's probably like that in more places. We just like to claim it.
Right.
You don't. They always say, if you don't like the weather, just wait a couple hours.
Yeah.
It'll be all right then. It'll be different. All right, so we had the All-Star game, we had the Home Run Derby, we had the draft, all of the things that go on this week. Any takeaways from any of this stuff? I know we were kind of looking forward to a lot of this. We talked about the first round of the draft. Actually, it was, the first 70 picks of the draft. We kind of talked about that on Monday's show, but any takeaways from, I don't know, let's say the draft. Was there anything there? I mean, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, there's just a lot of names we don't know. It's just, I think we got graded the 8th best draft. Most of that probably had to do with Skeens.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
I don't, I don't know enough about these guys.
Nelly Furtado from Alabama. Turn off the lights. He's going to shut it down. He's got to be a closer, and if he is, he's got to come out to Nelly Furtado, turn off the lights. If he gives up,
I don't know that he does.
If he's a starter, he's going to come out to like, I'm like a bird or something.
Yeah, I don't think it plays.
No?
No.
Okay. Yeah, obviously not. These guys are not for our show. Breaking down these kind of guys, this is not our thing to do. But 21 new players coming into the Pirates organization this year.
If they all sign.
Yeah, and I assume there's probably maybe some lower guys that they picked. There's the rank. Looks like in the 12th round, 347th pick, we picked a dude that was ranked 197. Good chance he goes back to Arizona for his senior year. That's a good point. I was trying to see if there was any of these other guys that we picked that guy way above. Yeah. Not really very many of them that we went and picked them low because they dropped.
Yeah.
Usually those guys that drop are the guys that aren't going to re-sign. 17th round, there was a guy ranked 223. We picked him with the 497th pick, and he's a high school senior. So chances are he goes to, let's see if he was committed anywhere. committed to Miami. I would bet he's going to go to Miami.
Yeah.
Chances are, rather than a 17th round draft pick. So 6'4", 225 as an 18-year-old high school senior. Like, geez. And the other dude that was a junior, the pitcher's, well, he's a pitcher, but still 6'5". 6'4", 210, our 11th round pick out of Kentucky. A left-hander, 6'4", 250. It's a big
Kids
boy.
are big, man.
It's a big boy. All right. Yeah, honestly, like Paul Skeens. Oh, I'm still there. Like, this is still very exciting.
Yeah.
Once he was drafted, it was like I like the draft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you get a guy like that, it's kind of hard not to. I don't know who else you're going to get, but it just kind of doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, closing that out.
I know because of the All-Star break, you know, there was, and that's one of the things I like about it being on in the All-Star festivities is you kind of get reactions, and they're all hanging out, and people were asking, like reporters were asking some of the big league players, do you think Paul Skeens could get guys out in the big leagues right now? And they were like, yeah, I mean, there's 100 miles an hour for 120 pitches. good off speed, all this stuff. But I thought it was funny to get to Will Smith. He's like, I mean, big league hitters are going to adjust. He's just like, telling the truth, man.
Yep. Got a weird taste in the back of my throat right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Super weird. Don't know what that is. Yeah, dude, I've been totally out of touch with everything this week.
I bet.
I've been out of touch with everything. So anyway, Home Run Derby, All-Star Game. What do you think?
My highlight of the Home Run Derby had to be Adley Rushman. Dude come out swinging. And he's like, all right, you get your bonus 30. He's like, all right, I'm just going to turn around and bat right-handed and not hit a home run. On every one of his swings from the right side, he hit a home run. That was awesome. He's the first player to ever actually, not the first switch hitter to ever hit in it, but the first person to switch during the Derby.
Really?
And he just mashed.
I would think, I would wonder that if there was a guy who ever went up there and just wasn't hitting him out, if he just flipped over and tried the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they said he's the first one to actually switch.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which is kind of, it's a little bit surprising to me because you would think, especially the way the format was before and you got 10 outs, if I was a switch hitter and I went 0 for 4, I'm like, I'm switching. Trying the other side.
Yeah, I think you know what your strong side is, what your power side is. And also you a lot of times just play to the stadium.
Sure.
I don't know if Seattle has a lean either way.
I don't think so. I think it's pretty.
But like if you were ever going to be in a home run derby at PNC Park, you would always go left-handed if you're a switch hitter.
Right.
It'd be stupid not to.
Right.
I would imagine like saying, hey, Rodolfo Castro, home run derby. He'd be like, oh, crap. I can't hit right-handed here, and I can't hit left-handed.
I'm sure he'd be just fine in batting practice.
Yeah, I know. So the home run derby for me, I mean, I'll just say it. I don't like the format.
I don't either.
There's too many swings these guys are taking, and I'm just tired of seeing them getting gassed like that. We don't need 41 home runs in one round. Like, we just don't need that. And if you got it, it should be even more impressive, because it used to be, even on the timed one, you were supposed to let the ball land. They don't let the ball land anymore.
No, like the umpire behind home plate that's pointing at the pitcher, that doesn't even need to be there.
No. And the problem is like now you're trying to watch it and you can't keep up with that. They got to do a split screen thing.
Yeah, I really don't like the way it's set up.
It's just too hard to follow along with.
Go back to 4-4. Like, I mean, we didn't even have even number of National American League this year.
I don't even care about that, to be honest with you. I don't care who's there. I didn't like the let's pick somebody from every country. I didn't like that because I just felt like no matter what you do, if you go 4-4 or you pick somebody from every country or you can only have all-stars, whatever your situation is, you're leaving power hitters off. And so like you're missing out on this guy or that guy just because you wanted this format. I don't care who the 8 are. Get me the 8 best hitters, the 8 best power hitters that are going to be the most entertaining.
That want to do it.
That want to do it. And then from that point on, it's just all 8 hitters hit. The top 4 move on to the next round. You get 10 outs.
Yeah.
Just do it that way. And just say the top 4 move on. There is no this guy versus this guy. We had a couple.
Right. I don't not like that. A
couple big battles that went on that like both of those guys should have advanced.
Mm-hmm.
And and if you have one guy that doesn't hit a lot, think back in some of the ones in the past where Pete Alonso, I think he was he up against Josh Bell? No, that was Acuna.
No. Yeah, Ronald Acuna.
Because Josh Bell, yeah, okay. So whoever Pete Alonso went up against that time, didn't hit very many home runs. So with a minute and a half left, he finished his first round.
Yeah.
And now he's prime because everybody else were exhausted. Whoever gets, you know what I mean? And sure, and you just start with the lowest seed, and that seeding is by how many home runs you have this year, and you work your way to the top. That way the guys that have hit the most home runs during the season, they get the advantage. If you're the 8th hitter, then yes, you could actually finish your round before you got your 10 outs. If you could hit and qualify. Now, I don't know why you would necessarily do that unless you became the 1, because then when you go to the next round, it depends on how many you hit in the first round.
Right.
To what order you go in, the lowest to the highest. So, I mean, I still feel like no matter what, you're going to have a show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just feel like I don't understand why we don't go back to that. I feel like you can admire the home runs a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, that, and plus, like, Pete
Alonso,
I didn't want Pete Alonso to win it by all means. Right. But if you remember not how he won it, but do you remember his last 2? He got the perfect pitch every single pitch. His pitcher was money. And you credit a lot of that because if you remember, like, the year that Josh Bell was in it in Cleveland, his pitcher was terrible. I don't even remember who it was.
I don't either.
The dude from the minor leagues.
Alonso's pitcher was terrible this year. So.
Exactly. So this year it was Alonso's. He took him out of it.
Yeah, he was actually trying to hit home runs to the opposite field.
Yeah, because the pitches were so far outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, if it comes down to a pitcher, that's not okay.
Right.
Just take your pitches and sure, you could probably put a limit on how many pitches you can take. And then, you have to still, there is an element for the pitcher there too, just because that way it's not taken forever. But tell me this isn't taken forever too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't mind the timed thing.
See, what happened with the time thing is we had that 1 year because they were supposed to wait till the ball landed. We had that 1 year where Bryce Harper went off and he was not waiting till the ball landed to get the next pitch. And they were like, oh, that was so awesome. Well, you don't have to wait anymore. Well, now it's just a big fiasco. You got kids out in the outfield getting hit by 115 mile an hour line drive to the head. Thought he was dead. Like we're watching the Derby in my living room. Had a buddy of mine come over to watch it. We're sitting there watching, and the next ball goes out there. We're like, is that kid dead? And then I see the replay of it the next day. I'm like, no, literally, the kid got hit in the head with a line drive because no one can keep their focus that long.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough time to react to the next ball.
Yeah, they're still looking for the fly ball and another one's coming out.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's either that or just get them off the field.
Yeah, get the kids off the field, yeah.
Because, I mean, that's part of the home run derby been for years.
Yeah, whatever. I get it. All right. All-Star game? I got one thing.
Watch it. I had to work that night.
Okay, well, I got one thing. Can we just put the uniforms back on?
Yes.
Can we stop with this?
The derby needs to be with the jerseys for the All-Star break. The game gets played in their uniforms.
Did they do it the other way? Were they wearing their uniforms I can't even remember.
Yeah. They wore their full-blown team
uniform for the home run derby.
With the All-Star hat for the home run derby.
Do you think
It
that's
needs to be
because the home
flip-flopped.
run derby gets more views? I mean, that's the highlight. The All-Star
Doesn't
game
matter.
is a fun event,
So,
but like the home run derby is the only thing that's competitive.
so then that's even more reason to put the All-Star game jerseys on them that night.
Yeah, that's a good point because they're just doing the All-Star. They're just doing that so they can sell jerseys.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And then if you watch the All-Star game, you get to see the team's uniforms.
I want to see the team's uniforms.
And once all the City Connects are out, they should wear the City Connect jerseys for the All-Star game. That'd be nice.
I want to see I want to see the homes and aways, the regular homes and aways, whatever team's home and away, you wear your home or away jerseys.
I mean, I'm not against it.
Yeah, I want to see them in that. And then
an interesting idea.
Yeah, no, I get that. Maybe the City Connects for the home run derby. Just stop All-Star jerseys altogether.
Yeah,
That'll never happen.
No.
That'll never happen. That's the only thing I have. Other than that, I mean, Elias Diaz, you know what? Let's give him one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool.
He just put his name on the trade deadline board. You know what I mean?
You think with that home run?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's been playing well this
year. He has
been
playing well.
He earned his spot on that team.
Yeah. I just thought it was good. You know, I always liked him when he was in Pittsburgh, and I know he had some stuff going on, and it was kind of a bummer. I mean, it's hard to argue letting him go. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I always thought he could be. I always thought he could be better than he was.
Yeah.
Had some pop. He's always had some pop.
Mm-hmm.
And a cannon for an arm.
Yep.
All right, so All-Star break done. Oh, we did have Mitch Keller. It's worth saying. Do you have the numbers on that? One inning,
No.
one
inning. Yeah, he had a strikeout. I think he gave up a home run.
Yeah, he gave up the solo homer.
But
I mean, yeah, big deal. He gave up a solo homer in an All-Star game.
I forget who hit it. Was it Euler?
No.
Can't. Lourdes Gurriel.
No.
Jr.
No, he's on the same team.
Right. The heck was it?
It's Tampa. Yandy
That's it.
Yandy Diaz.
Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking it was that crazy purple hair.
He almost hit a home run. And it was foul. They called it fair. Then they called it foul.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get my highlights mixed up when they're all wearing not their team uniforms.
Yeah, when they're not wearing their team uniforms. I mean, that's the big thing for me. I just want to see the team. I just want to see the team uniforms. I want to see, like, you're watching the game and Mitch Keller gets in. You want everybody to have to see the fact that he plays for the Pirates.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want him to represent. And I feel like when you don't do that, I mean, he's got a P on his pants and his sleeve, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. It's still All-Star game colors. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just not a fan. Not a fan. I want to see everybody in their own uniform. I think it adds a certain level of, like, you want to be excited about your guy there, then he should be wearing your uniform.
Yeah.
Bednar did not get in the game, but those are our two All-Stars. So kudos to them. It's good to see Keller get in and right away. Like, he pitched the second inning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. So, one of the highlight guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
One of the highlight guys.
Endy went 0 for 2 in the Futures game, but did get walked and scored a run.
Yeah. Which was only on Peacock. So,
yeah, they've been showing it on MLB. They've been showing reruns of it on MLB Network.
yeah, and I didn't get to catch any of it, but
I didn't catch much.
I tried to log
a little bit of
in
it before we got on here.
I tried to log in to Peacock because my father-in-law had it. But when I tried to log in, it was like, your subscription's not active. I was like, dang it. So must have got it, canceled it or something. Okay, so let's talk about what to expect. Obviously, the trade deadline coming up, and the Pirates are, no matter how they talk, into a microphone, they're going to be more in the sellers category than the buyers.
Right.
So, do you see any of these guys? Like, who's on the block? Who would you like to see possibly moved in order to make this team better? And does it make it better now? Is it I don't know. Like, I guess I'm just trying to think. Like, if I'm interested in a guy, where do you go with that?
Sure. I mean, I don't think you're going to make this roster better in the trade deadline, which is the whole seller versus buyer thing.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, certainly there's guys I'd shop around a little bit. I mean, why wouldn't you shop around Santana? Why wouldn't you shop around Connor Joe? I don't think you're going to, we're not in the seller's market to sell Bednar. We're not in the seller's market to sell Keller. I mean, these guys are, I mean, we're not that far away.
No, I think, to be honest with you, I think getting Skeens changes that look.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
You've made a commitment at this point that it's, you're trying to make this happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And to be able to maintain it for a couple years after, at least.
Yeah, for me, it's Santana's a tough one. You're probably right there, but he's a tough one for me. I mean, there's a certain level of like, it's the same thing with Rich Hill. Even though Rich Hill has a lot less value to offer, he has so much value to stay that's what makes it difficult. As much as I get frustrated with when he's pitching, I really like looking at him when he's not pitching. Oviedo is his shadow. They're constantly talking. And I just think he's good in that type of manner. And I don't think it's worth it. I mean, not to mention the Pirates starting pitching is so banged up you can't afford to lose him. You know what I'm saying? So like I get that. Like you cannot afford to lose pitching, period, because of how banged up we are. Banged up and struggling.
Right.
Other than that, there is part of me that kind of wonders, like, is there anybody out there who would be interested in Jason Delay or Austin Hedges? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah. Catchers are tough. And I know I said Diaz put himself on the trade market, but it's tough to switch a catcher in the middle of the year because he's got to learn a whole nother catching or pitching staff. That could be tough. But at the same time, Hedges is.
But if somebody comes calling,
comes
calling, I think this would be something for the Pirates to be like, you know what? I think and to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody calls about Delay before Hedges.
Right.
Hey, we really need a backup catcher. We like what he's done for you on both sides of the ball. He's got years of control. We'd like to get this backup catcher for our run. I don't know if there's much there. Here's the problem with that. Like, you're not getting anybody for him.
No.
So
you're
that's not
low minors, probably older low minors guy.
Reliever. That's what I always go to. and I think the same. So Connor Joe, Carlos Santana could offer a little bit more, I think. Connor Joe, to me, a platoon player against lefties only, is a guy who really is, he could be a part of a deal, but I don't see him getting any return unless it's like you get Santana and Connor Joe. And then we might be able to pull somebody that might actually make our team better. If it doesn't make our team better, I don't know why you move anybody. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I'm not trading just to trade. Now, if Santana goes to Sherrington and says, hey, I'd like to go for this might be it for me. I'd like to go for another playoff. I'll trade him for whoever they want to give.
Right.
You're limited to whose team he's going to. You're sending him there and you're getting a player. But I'm less concerned because I don't have Santana beyond this year anyway. So I don't really care if I keep Choi. he can play all the innings that Santana's been playing, and this team doesn't get really affected by it. However, Choi, who I know you don't have beyond this year too, is probably the most intriguing of all these guys. If he hits for a couple weeks here, I guess, do we have a couple weeks? Look at the calendar here. Do we have a couple weeks, a couple full weeks? Yeah. So. If he hits for a couple weeks, we're right into the deadline. Yeah, I could see Choi probably the most plausible to be moved and actually get anything back. I still don't know what you're going to get. Like, that's the thing. We're just in a position now where I just don't know what you're going to get. You might be looking at, we really like this guy. And they say, well, we're not going to give you that for Choi. And then you might see the Pirates do something like, what if we throw in Cal Mitchell? Oh, that's interesting. What if we throw in Canaan Smith and Jigba? You know what I mean? Okay, that's interesting. I'm listening. Then can we pry that guy off of you? Josh Palacios. He hasn't been bad for us. He's really been exciting for us. He'd be a good bench guy. He could come up and down. You know what I mean? They've got options years left, so they could be what they are. You know what I mean? They're cushioned for any kind of injuries down the stretch. And then I think maybe you could pry off maybe one of their higher, maybe even a top 30 prospect, maybe sitting in AA or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might be able to pry somebody like that away. I don't think you get somebody, I mean, you might get a top 30 for Choi. Could you get if their system's not good? I mean, when they come over to ours, maybe a top 20. It might be a top 10 in their system, but maybe not in ours. Or if it's a really stacked system, maybe you get one of their top 20 who's in our top 10. You know what I mean? Yeah. Either way, there's some options there if you maybe package some guys in. I could see something like that happening.
Yeah.
Connor Joe, I think, still has another year. I don't think he's a free agent after this year.
He's got 4 years of control, I do believe.
Okay, I was way off.
I think that's what the thing I was reading. I think it said 4 years of control.
So that actually might be, I mean, but the age is there. I still don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe Connor Joe's a guy you lump in with Choi and get somebody. It's hard to tell. You got to find the right fit. You got to find the right team. It's hard to tell. I don't know if any of the other guys are in play. I don't know if Bay or Castro's in play for a trade. I know both of them are struggling, but I think people know what they could get, and Castro has shown what you could get at different times in his career. And so I think maybe one of those two guys is a possibility. I just doubt it, man. I really wouldn't be surprised to see him move one of Choi or Santana, and that's it. I just wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't either. And that's kind of what I was saying, is shopping them around. Like, just, hey, any interest out there? If not, I'm fine with that too.
I think if I was them, the only players I would shop would be Choi and Santana, only because I can afford losing one of them. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't want to lose both of them and Connor Joe. Then I'm like, well, who the heck's going to play first now? You just traded all three of our first basemen away. You know what I'm saying? So there's nobody left. And we obviously don't have, now, unless you're getting a first baseman in return, or you're trying to say, Andy, you're a full-time first baseman right now. I don't see that stuff happening.
No.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I think you shop those two around. If somebody calls about Connor Joe, you listen. If somebody calls, and other than that, it's lumping him in with a deal. It's the same thing to me that Cal Mitchell and Canaan Smith and Jigba are for me, is lump them in with a deal. If it helps you get the guy that, because nobody's worth trading at this point unless it makes your organization better. Like I said, other than that one-off Santana for whoever because he wants to go to that team. But to me, it still is, hey, we'd really like this guy, though. Santana wants to go there, and you want Santana, but we want this guy. What'll it take? Would Cal Mitchell get it done? Would Connor Joe get it done? You know what I mean? One of those kind of things. Palacios get it done. Any of these guys who've shown up at different times. You know, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. That's all I got, man. As far as, like, honestly, I don't see anyone else. I mean, we've got pitching is just too fragile right now.
Yeah.
We just can't afford that. So, yeah. So what do you expect? Let's say no moves are made or some moves are made or whatever. I guess we just play that out depending on who we're talking about. But minor leagues, I mean, obviously we're thinking Endy. You called for Endy to be here today. It's Thursday when we're recording, but
yeah, let him play the futures game and get him up here.
So we'll see if there's an announcement after we stop this. I mean, it won't happen until tomorrow, but
right.
Obviously I have not been looking to see if there's rumors. I've been off Twitter almost entirely this week, with a few exceptions, but who else? I mean, we've got Endy, Quinn Priester. I mean, he's going to make his way here at some point this year, especially with the way that this pitching staff has been. Do you think Jared Jones maybe has a shot? I mean, it's possible. He's pitching in AAA right now.
Almost anything's possible.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking 40-man spots, and you know what I mean. You got it. Endy's already got one, so Priester will need to be added. Jones would need to be added. So, like, you know, there's some thought processes there of, okay, well, who, you know, is Kyle Nicholas a shot to make an appearance? Is he on there? No, he's not on the 40-man either. So those are three guys that none of them are on the 40-man yet. So if those moves are made, you're talking about either more people going on the 60-day or whatever. Here's another question. Do you think Harleen Garcia will ever pitch for the Pirates?
Yeah, the article I was reading about possible trades, like he was on there. I'm like, dude's got to pitch first. He's got to be able to grip a baseball.
And I haven't heard another update on that, whether or not that's even a thing.
No idea.
So of all these guys, if there are any of them, I mean, let's do Endy aside because I think that one's pretty obvious. But, you know, are you excited for any of these other guys? I mean, you could say, you know, Quinn Priester or if Jared Jones does make that jump, what that could look like. I mean, this is a guy who, you know, started off in Altoona, 10 starts to a 2.23 ERA, moved up to AAA, which has only been 4 appearances, 3 starts, and the ERA is up there. But if he starts to click and they need a pitcher, and Ortiz and Contreras are not making it happen, is there a chance? I mean, he's only 21. And this is a guy who was drafted, I believe he got an opportunity to go two-way. Yeah.
He's an athlete.
Yeah, he was a two-way player. So, you know what I mean? Just a guy who's been exciting and has been moving up. I mean, like I said, he's 21 years old.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at Bubba Chandler, who's only a year behind him in age, but he's still in high A.
Anthony Solomito has moved up to AA. He's probably been the better of those two. And so,
like, Chandler's another one of those two-way players, though, and he was trying to do it for a longer period of time.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, Solomito's been great even in his move up to AA.
Mm-hmm.
If either of these two guys come up, could you see 20-year-old Anthony Solomito? Let me see. What's his birthday? Not till December. So 20-year-old Anthony Solomito could find his way to AAA even this year. Could you imagine if he moves that quick? I mean, you start to look at this and you're saying, what could this rotation look like? If you've got Keller and Skeens at the top, I mean, you could see if Priester comes up and he performs, and Solomito starts to look like he's going to be there next year or the year after, and Skeens coming into the picture. And then you start talking about, I only need one of Oviedo, Ortiz, Jared Jones. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys, even Brubaker at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it starts to really, you start to get back to that place where you're saying, okay, there's depth here. And Skeens puts that thing, just knocks all those guys down one, which makes everybody that much better. I mean, Skeens is that one guy, you know, soon enough. If he can be there in the mix with Keller, or does that make it so that once Keller gets to that point, we would be okay letting him move on? Because we've got other guys in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're going to look to try to lock him up.
I would like to. I think that extension's easier to get done than the Skeens extension, and I think that, you know, you look to lock him up so that you have him and Skeens together, and then you try to just put those last three pieces with young guys, maybe bring in another veteran for next year, but because right now you've got Rich Hill there. I mean, you're not going to get Brubaker back right away.
Right.
So then, you know, do you do this again with Velasquez, or does he find another opportunity somewhere else? Do you feel more comfortable letting him find another opportunity somewhere else just in case?
Right.
So you're going to have to bring in another veteran next year anyway to bridge that gap, maybe two. Like, you're still looking at that.
Right. Yeah.
So how about Roanzi, man? Does he figure this thing out? Is it this year? Is it a I have no idea who he is now?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Okay. This is certainly not somebody that we can count.
This is a dude I thought was going to be a legit 2-3 guy.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, with Keller being a number 2 guy in the 1 slot.
I get you. Then Roanzi being a 3 in the 2 slot in a way. Yep. Yeah, because I mean, really,
well, I thought we'd have 2 legit number 2 pitchers.
Okay. Yeah, and we say that like kind of loose, but I mean, like, aces are hard to come by. There is a number 1 on your rotation that doesn't make him an ace.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we've seen ace type stuff from Keller this year, but I'm not
for sure.
I'm not sure that he's still that, you know, that echelon of a. I mean, he still could be improving, but you see what I'm saying. I'm with you there. If you have him at 2 because you have somebody better, now you're a playoff team, pitching staff. You know what I mean? If it's filled out the rest of the way, so I totally get that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure there's anybody else that I've really been kind of excited to see. Talking about guys that are on the 40-man roster, obviously I'd like to see Castro figure some stuff out. It might be in AAA. Hey, if we start getting healthy, I don't think Castro has a spot on this roster. Obviously, Bay doesn't. I don't think he already doesn't have a spot on this roster. I think Triolo has been good enough to take those spots away.
Yeah.
Right now, he's playing a lot of third. He's capable of playing second base and shortstop as well. I wouldn't want it to be every day, but he's capable.
Right.
And
he can handle it.
Yep. And Marcano can handle those positions, and Nick Gonzalez can handle those positions. And so when you start looking at this team, when you get Hayes back, when you get Cruz back, Peguero's running out of opportunities. When is he going to get an opportunity? He's just killing the ball right now.
Yeah.
And so is there a possibility that Peguero gets an opportunity sooner than later, knowing that Cruz is on his way back, and then you kind of block his opportunity? I'd like to see him get more of an opportunity. If for nothing else, then just change. And maybe do that right out of the gate. Maybe tomorrow Peguero comes up and Castro goes down. It'd be nice to get Castro to figure it out, because he could be very valuable as that backup.
Yeah, for sure.
With some pop off the bench, starting, spot starting games and giving you a bat that could possibly make a difference in the game. At this point, man, Nick Gonzalez is at second for me.
Mm-hmm.
And Triolo's at third until Hayes gets back, and then it's Hayes. So I think those two positions are, I know that, Gonzalez is going to move around. But when Cruz comes back, I like that infield.
Yeah.
And if I've got Tucupita and Jared Triolo as my bench guys, I feel pretty good about that infield.
Yeah.
And that just leaves some of these other guys out, and it starts to look a little bit like the outfield with Cal Mitchell, Kanan Smith-Njigba, Josh Palacios, where you start to say, who fits right now? We don't know. You know what I mean? But you got Sawinski and Reynolds, and you've got just one other opportunity. And Connor Joe's on the roster, but when I'm thinking about everyday starters, you know what I mean? You got to spell Joe somehow with one of those guys. And right now that guy's Palacios, and I think he's doing fine, but that could be any of those guys. Swaggerty, I still just think he hasn't played much, right? I mean, is he still not playing?
He's still dealing with stuff, I think.
I mean, just what a rough go, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played. Oh, that doesn't give me minor leagues unless I go to the minor league site. But I mean, you're looking at 22 games this year. I mean, you can forget about this season for him. I can.
Yep.
And I just don't know how many more times you can go through this.
Right.
Especially when you've got a full roster.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
And he's definitely a guy who can play center field. And that's kind of the thing that this team doesn't have right now. But, yeah, I don't know. For me, that's what it is, though. I'd like to see Smith-Njigba and Mitchell get a little more time if they're not dealt, to get a little more time.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with Palacios, but you just don't know. And maybe Palacios is a part going forward. It's hard to tell. I mean, sometimes these guys come in, you think, oh, this will be his year to be here and waste our time. But I mean, he's shown up, and maybe not. Has he jumped some of these guys in the depth chart looking forward? I mean, he's 27, but I don't know. Possibly. He's had major league experience. He's not. I mean, the overall statistics aren't great on him right now. 235, 271 on base, 624 OPS. So it's not like he can't be replaced.
Things can click for anyone at any time, too.
Do you think they've already clicked for Palacios, though? Do you think we've seen probably the best he has to offer?
Probably.
You know what I mean? I think that's maybe
but I'm just saying, like you get a guy up here and he actually performs pretty decent. I mean, it's not like he was high on our prospect list, but something might have just clicked.
Yeah.
It's not like he can't be bumped.
Right. Man. What a crazy time right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's a lot of fringe players on the Pirates. And sooner or later, they've got to be passed up by real good players, or we've got to let them go.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be interesting.
Sit and play in AAA.
Or they can sit and play. Well, but eventually they're going to run out of options, and then somebody's just going to get them for free, which is maybe one of the things. Maybe they're trying to package one of those two guys, whatever one that they can get rid of, whether it's Smith-Njigba or Cal Mitchell. And you know how everybody likes to talk about preferences, and Ben Sherrington brought in Smith-Njigba. He did not bring in Cal Mitchell. He inherited a Cal Mitchell. So is that the guy you move on? I don't really think it matters. I think he's been here long enough that he can either like a guy or not like him.
Right.
Or like a guy and like another guy not as much. So I think there's, that kind of a situation that could play out. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Before too long, some of these guys are going to have to get dealt.
Yeah.
And if it's to add to your team, that's fine. I think maybe this offseason we see some kind of shakeup where the Pirates are going to have to look for an outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. Let's talk about a backlash or a I can't think of what to call it, but you didn't draft Dylan Cruz. So by not doing that, by going Skeens, you now just don't have a center fielder for your playoff runs of 25 and beyond. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so you've got to do something now.
Yeah.
You've already moved Reynolds. Sawinski's getting an opportunity, but I think we're all here saying that that's not a forever position.
Doing all right, but it's not.
Yeah, he's fine. But he's not what, long term, you'd rather see, somebody a little more than fine.
Yeah.
But there's not really anything coming. I mean, unless Henry Davis goes to right field and you do go with Jack Sawinski. But there's not really, I mean, you look at the prospect list and you've got a second baseman at the top who's a long ways off. I would think. You got Endy, number 3. Henry's still number 2. Nick Gonzalez. And then you get to Peguero at 7, who's an infielder. And then it's a bunch of pitching until you get to Lonnie White, who hasn't played very much, is only 20, and he's a long ways off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're looking at Matt Gorski, who's in Double-A right now. He does play center field. Is he better than Sawinski at center field? I don't know, but
right.
And is that really a guy, you know what I'm saying, that you're going to count on? Obviously, Swaggerty's still on the list, and that's just a weird situation altogether.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I mean, you never know when we could come across somebody in some random trade that ends up being better than he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or you could go with somebody who doesn't hit all that great, but he can just play a lights out center field.
Which is really hard to do right now, especially for a team like the Pirates, because we don't have those superstars at the top of your order who are guaranteed to put up that production, and you're not going to have those guys unless you happen into them, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, it makes it hard. You've got to have a complete lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what everybody's gripe is about Ke'Bryan Hayes if he doesn't hit. Can you afford to have a guy who's great at defense and doesn't hit well? I mean, and it's a good question. I think most teams, yes, he's that good. You can afford it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be able to afford that at first base, but third base or shortstop, yeah, absolutely.
I still don't think. I just think Ke'Bryan Hayes is like the most unlucky hitter in the history of the game. I mean, you're talking about a guy who hits the ball hard almost every time he's up to the bat.
Yeah.
He gets out. I mean, he's in the upper echelon of hard hit balls.
Right. And there's still more to click. And obviously he started clicking and it was going well. And then the back flared up. How long is he going to have to deal with the back thing? Was his change is that what caused the back thing? What
right.
I know it was just a toe tap, but could that have put more stress on his back and actually caused this whole thing to happen in the first place? If so, the one success that Andy Haynes had is ruined. I don't know. Interesting to see how it's going to go. Let's take a look at the schedule. Obviously, we've got the Brewers. No. I said the Brewers. We got the Giants coming to town to start off the second half of the season. Cleveland after that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then there's another West Coast trip. Looks like they're not like entirely super late games. A couple 9:30, 9 o'clock, and then a 4 o'clock on Sunday. A couple, those late nights. I always think about those late night games.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Phillies to finish out the month at home. Tigers. We got some, a rare Monday off. Start August. Actually, to end July. For that deadline. And then you have some divisional games coming up in August. The dog days of August there. So Not to mention you've got the Braves and the Mets mixed into that as well. You've got a lot of like, you start with the Tigers, but then it's like, okay, Brewers, who could possibly be in first place, but divisional game, Braves, Reds, divisional games, Mets, who, are they going to click? Are the Mets
Not
and the
this year.
Padres going to go to the postseason?
I don't think so.
Neither one of them.
Maybe the Padres, but not the Mets.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Who's got a bigger jump to make? You think the Mets have a bigger jump? I mean, neither one of them are winning their division.
No.
Let's start with that. That's just not going to happen. But San Diego only has 6 games to go. The Mets have 7, so they're basically in the same spot. Either one of them, but they've got to pass up teams like Milwaukee and Philadelphia on their way, which I think one of those spots is available because San Francisco has the 3rd wild card spot right now and Miami has the 1st. And I wouldn't be surprised if both of those teams miss the playoffs. I know that's crappy of me to say, right? Because I think a lot of people are saying, wow, you really... But I'm just saying, I could see both of those teams missing.
Marlins are playing well, and they pitch.
Yeah, they do. But I'm not saying... Their run differential right now is -5. Like, they haven't earned the record that they have. They're 53-39, and their expected win-loss based on run differential is 45 and 47. That can't last all year. I'm just saying, it can't. You know, and you look at San Diego's got a +39. Outside of anybody that's not winning their division, they've got the top. Nobody in the Central, by the way, has a positive.
Yeah.
No, the Cubs do. The Cubs do. And by a lot. But do the Cubs they were kind of surging up there for a minute. Do they fall away? Do the Pirates have an opportunity to finish higher than the Cubs? We're looking at 4th place right now, and we're not that far removed from being in last place. You think O'Neal Cruz comes back, you can have another run in this team if pitching will allow. But the Pirates are 8 games out, which means they're not much different than the Mets.
Right.
Do they have a shot at the wild card? Unlikely. I think the Mets still have a better chance because they're loaded. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's possible. I think I'd be hard pressed to believe that there will be a team from the Central to get a wild card spot.
I agree with that.
I think San Diego gets up above Milwaukee or Cincinnati, whatever way that falls. But I don't know, man. I don't know if either.
Yeah.
I would love it. I think the best thing that could happen to the game of baseball would be for San Diego and the New York Mets to miss the playoffs. Just to prove once and for all that you cannot buy a spot in the postseason.
Right.
Because they went out and spent an absurd amount of money to guarantee their spot in the postseason, and it just doesn't work that way. Money doesn't equal wins. It never has, and it never will. No matter what you think, and no matter if you're listening to this saying, well, yes, it does. Well, you're just lying to yourself. It doesn't. Talent equals wins. Yes, talent costs more money to keep, but that doesn't mean that they're going to play well.
Right.
Look at Arizona right now. Look at Cincinnati right now. If you want to look at any team, look at Cincinnati. They're all young too. The anchors of their rotation are all on rookie contracts. The most exciting infield right now, and Joey Votto is the only one getting paid. And he plays part-time. Yeah. So money doesn't buy wins. It doesn't buy postseason appearances. And I need that to be so.
Expanded playoffs, it still might not.
And with the expanded playoff, it still might not. I don't see both of those teams making it. One of those teams is going down. Mets need to be a team that cannot make it there.
Yeah. Well,
because it shows that you can spend money, but spend money stupid. You don't go out and buy 2 40-year-old pitchers and think that's going to get you through it. I don't care what their names are.
You can buy one of them.
You could buy one of them.
You want to buy? I wouldn't buy two.
All right. We got anything else to cover? Cleveland's in first, by the way. Did we know this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I did. It's not like they're setting the world on fire. They're 500, but
yeah, but they passed up Minnesota.
the Central Division is both leagues is not very good.
No. No. All right, that's all I got then. You good?
I'm good.
Let's play some music and get out of here. It's kind of an interesting episode. We had no games to talk about. No, you know what I mean? I got to be honest with you. I didn't look up a bunch of stuff this week. Kind of been doing a thing. And so just haven't been around. But we pick it back up. This weekend, Giants, Gigantes. Oh, we didn't even talk about the Sandlot guys coming to the PNC Park.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
I don't think I'll make it out. Plus, I don't do autographs and stuff, so it's kind of pointless for me, but I'll just watch it on TV. All right, let's go, Bucks.
Yeah, let's go, Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!